Hey there, everybody. It's me, Weedwhacker 2000. I believe in the last video I was talking about how school lunch sucked, and my friends were involved. Well, I remember at the beginning of high school, um, people were always saying, senior year is gonna be the best year, because a lot of people say that or whatever. I always heard that, oh, senior year is the best year, senior year is the best year. And if you're unfamiliar with, the specific school system where I went, it was grades 9 through 12, and 9 was freshman, 10 was sophomore, even though it's spelled like sophomore, but we don't pronounce the O for some reason. 11th was junior, and then 12th was senior. And I don't know, people said it was the best year because that's when people gave the list, or that's when people gave the least amount of crap about their stuff, or if it was the fact that they were going to graduate that year and then they can move forward doing what they want to do, even though in some cases or realistically, that's not going to happen, at least not right after, for the most part. Um, well, I remember after going through those 4 years, I disagreed with them. I found that my freshman year was the most memorable. Sophomore year, it was a little less fun. Junior year, it was like, and then senior year, I cared less, but I wouldn't say that made the year that made the year better. I mean, I wouldn't say care less as in like I failed, because no, I passed all my classes. But the as for like if I cared for school, not so much. I still cared, but I didn't have a passion for it. Is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't fail anyway because I get in trouble by my parents, just like any kid with parents who care about how their children do. Anyway, where was I going with this? The friends. The reason why I thought the first year was the best year. So that's when I first met my friends, and that's when I drastically changed. Um, I think that was a turning point for me, and I learned a lot of things because of them, both good and bad. They, you know, looking back, they're definitely not for everybody. Their types of jokes, or the way they messed around. Not everyone can handle it. No, I don't believe anyone. Not anyone. I don't believe everyone could, because they were pretty harsh and straightforward. Not not like calling out your flaws. Just they messed around a lot, and if you took it the wrong way, then you might feel really bad or something. So the first time I met them was on the baseball team. Um, the only reason why I even bothered joining the baseball team is because my mom was always pushing me to engage with the school activities. Do this, do that. I didn't want to. Like, I don't care. She's like, oh, you should do this. You should join the school club, they do all these things. Oh, you should, be part of the school, be part of the community, all that. And I'm not against that. I just personally, I didn't care. I'd say it's the same thing as people who like literally anything else. Oh, you like that TV show? Well, that's cool. I have no problem with that. But I don't care to watch it, and I'm not going to watch it. At least that makes sense to me. But I guess she just didn't want to see me, be secluded and alone. No friends, just a loner, whatever. Even though I kind of was already like that. Um, but um, but it wasn't because of her that I decided to join baseball. I did that out of my own free will because I had an interest in it. Because I thought it was fun. I remember being younger, and when I was maybe 7-ish, when I played baseball, and at that age, I remember how fun it was. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff, but then I was like, well, that's not probably not going to happen in high school. So I went to the tryouts and I sucked. I really sucked. I hadn't played in years. I wasn't in shape, and yeah, I wasn't in shape, so that didn't help. I stretched, and there's all these people, and when you're not committed to something, you're not going to start with the best gear, and you don't need the best gear, to show your skill. But good cleats would help, so you don't slip and fall on wet grass. But yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know how I made the cut because I remember that like, oh, you might get cut or whatever, and just check the list next week or next 2 weeks. I don't know how long it took, but I remember when I checked the list, I saw my name on there, but I was confused because it said cut list, and I was like, does that mean I'm removed from the team or I made the team? You know, it should have just been titled "Who Made the Cut," not "Cut List," because that makes you think like, oh, this is the list of people who got cut. Goodbye. Well, like, but that wouldn't make sense. Like, why would you put the people you don't want on there and not the people you do want? So I just straight up asked them, my cut, and they're like, no, you made it. And when I went for the first day of practice, it was very different from when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, it was just, mom drops you off, or dad, and then you practice for, I don't know, 2 hours. I don't really remember how long. You practice on the field, and then after that, you go home. Or we probably did some other stuff. Of course, we stretched and all that. We go home, but in that high school, when I got there, I remember they were cleaning up the field. Like they made us fix the field. Like we would get like a big best way I can describe it is like a fence looking thing, and drag it across all the dirt on the field to make it look nice and even, like as if no one stepped on it. And then we would use hose to I don't really remember, but we use it on the baselines to make it look nicer. And we would have to do other maintenance. I don't really remember what else we did. But the point is that the whole team had to be a part of it. When I saw it, I was like, what? Like, that's not baseball. And then they're like, yeah, you have to, it's your field. You got to take care of it. You got to learn how to take care of it. So, that was my first day of practice. And then after we were done with that, it took maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I was kind of tired already because, I'm not used to moving my body. And I was like, oh, that's it. Like, I guess we're done for today. And they're like, all right, now we start practicing. I'm like, what? We're practicing now? Like, I'm tired here. I thought that was enough. I thought like today was cleanup day and tomorrow we do it. And then, nope. That's just what we always do. So, that sucked. I didn't help out that much that day because I didn't know anything. I don't remember how to do it either. I don't even think I did much of it because I had no experience. I'm like, you guys can do it because I don't want to be the one responsible for ruining everything. But I remember my first day very clearly because um, I made an impression on everyone. I was the new guy. Well, to be honest, I'm not too sure if this is the first day. I don't know if this is the first day or the next day. But I remember, they had us. They would do what's called conditioning, where basically it's strenuous workouts, but they weren't like very strenuous, especially when everyone's all comparing it to wrestling. Like, oh, they got the worst conditioning, whatever. And I agree, but that doesn't make it any. That doesn't make what I went through, invalid, I guess, or not bad. Because while the exercise itself wasn't bad, I was not in shape. So, for example, my first day there, never being active, they wanted me to run 3 laps around the entire field because it was like there was 2 baseball fields diagonally opposing each other, and it was like a really big, like square track. I mean, not really big. It's not that big, but for someone who doesn't do anything, it was a lot. Like 3 laps around that, and you had to do it in a time limit too. And I was out of breath, and well, actually, I don't know if there's a time limit, but you had to stay with the team. Like you couldn't fall too far behind, and obviously I fell really far behind because I wasn't good. I wasn't fast. I didn't have stamina. But I believe the last thing we did was we did leg lifts, and the coach said, whoever keeps their legs up the longest, I'll buy them a free Gatorade, and or I'll buy them a Gatorade, hand it over. And I don't know how, but I managed to hold it up the longest because I guess I really wanted that Gatorade. I don't know how I held it up the longest because like I said, I wasn't in shape, and everyone was impressed. Like, oh, this new guy, has a lot of a lot of determination, whatever. So I guess I gained some of their respect because they started acknowledging me a little. But yeah, they weren't, like I said, that they weren't for everyone. Because the way they joke, they called everyone a lop or, um, I guess crude humor. I can't think of anything. I don't know. Well, one guy, for example, he would yell out to girls. I mean, I don't think this is joking. He's just being rude. But, yell out to girls, leaving school, because we would stay after school hours. And he would call the ugly ones ratchet. The ones he deemed ugly, we called them ratchet. And I didn't know what that term meant. He's like, ratchet, ratchet. And I'm thinking, ratchet? Ratchet and Clank? Because I played the Ratchet and Clank games, so that's all I thought about. I'm like, do you mean like a ratchet, like for maintenance? Or Ratchet and Clank? That's all that came to my mind, but I was, I wasn't dumb enough to be like, do you mean the game? Because I knew for sure he was not talking about the game. But that's what came to mind. The terminology they used, I had to get used to it. And I guess you could use the phrase tough love. That's what they did. but I don't think the love part was there. It was just tough. uh, I don't know how to go in detail about it. All I can say is that I eventually had to harden up, to take the type of jokes they made. Um, like they weren't like disrespectful ones, like I said, like you're really fat, whatever. No, nothing like that. Just I don't know. Best way I can put it is they made another guy on the team cry because I guess he couldn't handle their jokes. Um, and he took everything very seriously. For example, one of them was after practice ended, we had like our own little mini game. Uh, I think it was raining too, so this was all muddy. And they said, "Oh, we have to run around these bases and accomplish something." But basically, the last person, like whoever the last person is, has to buy everyone pizza. And then, sure enough, the only guy on the team that was worse than me, he came in last. And um, uh, everyone wasn't serious. I mean, at least I don't think they were. But like he booked it after that because he didn't want to have to buy everyone pizza. And I think that was stupid. But he would also cry when the conditioning was too much. If he did too many push-ups or too much running, which, in my opinion, even in my, you know, in my poor shape, I didn't think it was that bad. I saw it as a way to improve myself. But he would cry when it was too much, and I never made fun of him for it. And I feel bad for not standing up for him. But the other guys would definitely make, you know, like poke at him for it or something. Like not like you're a crybaby. They wouldn't be that direct. I guess I'll finish